Welcome aboard. This is the Miles to Go podcast. And now here's your host, Ed Pizza.
Welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. We are wishing Richard a fond farewell as he heads overseas for a record long time away from me, man. You're going to be gone for like 10 days, 12 days, 14 days. I'm going to be sad, I think.
It's only 10 days. Record long time. It's shorter than New York.
Yeah, but we talked while you were in New York. Now I don't know if we're going to have our special moments together.
I will call you from the cruise ship with voice over IP and see, see how everybody's doing I'm turning my phone off. I'm deleting Slack. If you're from Built watching or listening to this, I'm sorry. I will catch you on the flip side.
On the flip side, by the way, the answer to your pre-show question, Lufthansa does not have 777s, but they do have some on order because it's a big plane and they have every other big plane. So they have 8 777 frames on order, which I imagine are all probably 777X.
Yeah, because it's got to be 777Xs. I was about to say I can't picture a Lufthansa plane or livery on a 777. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And that's the nerdiest conversation you're going to listen to today. Maybe hopefully.
Flip up those wings. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about your upcoming travels, maybe a tease on how New York was while you're in my favorite city for a couple weeks. And then we're going to dive into the Hilton program. And this is part and parcel. Well, sorry, let me tee up who we are, and then we'll tee up why we're talking about Hilton.
Like the pro podcaster you are.
Right, the pro podcaster I am. Strapping on my pro podcast, give me for just a second. So he is at Kerr Points on all those social media channels. I am at Pizza in Motion. Ed at pizzainmotion.com is where you shoot us an email for questions, which we're going to talk about a listener question in just a second. And you could text us or leave us a voicemail at 571-293-6659. And just for giggles, Mr. Kerr, we don't sponsor this week, but I want to do something fun. So if you're watching on video, there's a new Easter egg somewhere behind me. If you shoot me a message, DM, whatever, about what the new Easter egg that wasn't in the shot last week, I will enter you in a drawing to win a free annual membership from our friends at Point Me. So there you have it, Mr. Kerr. There's an Easter egg behind me, and you are not eligible to win. Just want you to know. I'm
not sure what was behind you new this week that wasn't there last week, but I am. When I get back from Europe, I am going to be rearranging the office so that everybody's seeing, all kinds of stuff behind me. It's going to be a little bit different.
I know the sewing machine. I like the sewing machine. It's kind of cool.
I can use that, believe it or not. I am capable of fixing up a little seam or something like that.
I believe it. Do you want me to send you a background so you got to look professional in the background,
if you send me all those nice model planes and everything. Although it's funny because I have a bookshelf that nobody can see. It's around the corner here over my left shoulder, and it's got all kinds of cool airplanes and sports memorabilia and Navy stuff on it. That would probably be a good background. So I should probably use that, and we're going to figure it out.
Maybe if you turned your desk, just throwing out ideas.
But then the lighting from the window makes me backlit. It's all we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. And everybody listening to this where it's not applicable at all, thank you for listening to the ramblings of Ed and Richard.
All right. So let's talk to folks about where you're going, because it's a place that I haven't been in a very long time, but I really enjoyed it the last time I was there. And you're only going to be there for a brief period of time before you hop on a cruise.
Yeah. Let's see. By the time you're listening to this, I will be on a ship in the middle of the Mediterranean, completely out of contact. Will be awesome. The family and I fly to Barcelona via Amsterdam on KLM. Everybody thinks we're going in economy, but I'm not flying in economy over the ocean.
Who thinks you're going in economy?
Thomas and Mary and Mrs. Kerr think that we're flying in economy. So, because they did it last year, to their credit, they met me in Amsterdam in economy, and they did perfectly fine, and they slept like 4 hours. But I'm not doing that. I work too hard to sit in the back of the bus. So we were flying business class on the KLM 787-10 Dreamliner to Amsterdam. We have a very quick layover, and then we are going to Barcelona and carrying on. And I booked this for some silly amount low of flying Blue Miles, and then on top of that, they give kids 25% off the miles required. So while the taxes and fees are a little steep, it was like $250 per person in taxes and fees, or YQ as we call it here in the industry. $1,000 for 4 people in business class to Barcelona is a pretty dadgum good deal. So we'll take. Well,
you get 4 Delft houses out of the deal too. I mean, somebody's got to pay for the Delft houses.
Yeah, it's very true. The only part I'm a little bit sad about is I think our layover is going to be too short to even go into the nice full KLM Crown Lounge, which I love so much in Amsterdam. I think we're going to be sprinting through. You know how the European airports, man, those transits are never an easy deal. So even though Schiphol itself, once you're inside security, is a lovely place, the mechanics of it, you never know. And we're only like on an hour and a half layover. So
that's tight, especially when you're going from international to, what's probably a narrow body for your second flight. What I will say is if you do catch a delay, Have you done the chocolate Delft houses on the top level of the Crown Lounge?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
Gotta do it. And I was looking on, if you want to get really nerdy, I was on FlightAware this morning looking at the gates that our flight from Atlanta is coming to in Amsterdam over the last couple of weeks, and then looking at the gate that the flight to Barcelona departs at. And it's like exact opposite ends because then we have to go to a bus because it looks like remote gate every day for the Barcelona flight.
Ooh.
So we're going to be pushing it extra tight to get out there to that remote gate onto the KLM 737. The good news, though, you know who's trained to fly the KLM 737, don't you?
Oh, dear.
You know, you've heard this before. You definitely have. The king of the Netherlands is a KLM 737 pilot.
I had not heard that. Is he piloting your flight?
I hope so. So he still flies, I think, once or twice a month to keep currency. You never know. He obviously travels underneath a assumed name, and he's a first officer, so he won't be typically not the person talking on the microphone, but I know what he looks like now. So when we board the plane, I'm definitely sticking my head in that to see if the king of the Netherlands is flying the Curse to Spain. So we'll check it out.
Nice. Well, and for what it's worth, I mean, the remote gates at Schiphol are nowhere near as bad as, say, like Charles de Gaulle or something like that. So, I mean, I still think an hour and a half is plenty of time, but yeah, you're not going to have time to go to the lounge.
Yeah, it's going to be a bummer. We stay in Barcelona for 2 nights. I booked the small luxury hotel collection using Hyatt points. It's right on.
This was a fine, yeah.
Yeah, right on Lost again. I'm sorry if you're, yeah. I'm going to just butcher all the pronunciations. I've never been to Spain. It's like the number one place people are like, where are you? Where have you should have been by now and you haven't? I'm like, I've never been to Spain. Checking out Barcelona, Hotel Bagues, Bagues. And if you're a Spanish speaker, again, I apologize. I'm not. Right on the main street. It was 23,000 points per night. Bummer with the family. You, of course, have to get 2 nights. But looking at a couple of recent reviews on Flyer Talk, everybody says it's great. As soon as I made the reservation, I got a link from the hotel that said, if you have any questions, jump in live chat. I asked them if they had connecting rooms or can put us together. They responded immediately. All very good, wonderful signs when you're taking not a risk, but a bit of a leap with picking a hotel. But it's right on the main street, right in the middle of everything. We have a day and a half, really, including travel times in Barcelona. We're going to do all the things that we can, everything, Sagrada Familia. We're going to the main park. Everybody says you have to go to. We're going to take the funicular up to the top of, I think it's Jewish Mountain in English, and see all the things up there. And then between meals and that, and then the next day we got to get on the cruise ship. We're taking an MSC cruise around the Mediterranean for a week. And nice. I had no intention of doing this. We were just going to go to Europe and off peak time again because it was such a great deal last year.
Right.
Going when it's not hot, when it's not crowded. Then we said, hey, let's do it again. And then I just happened for some reason, I don't remember why, looked at European cruises, and I guess because it's...
I think it was Summer. Summer told you she was cruising.
Yeah. At a bar. Oh, yeah. She was like, we're going on a Disney cruise out of Barcelona. And I was like, I'm going to Barcelona.
And not going on a Disney cruise.
Yeah, not going on a Disney cruise, but I looked up. We went on the MSC cruise a couple of years ago on the Caribbean, and we actually loved it. A lot of Americans don't like MSC because it's different, and there's not all Americans with you. But we had a great time. And I looked up because it was wave season or off peak season. February is obviously not the warmest time to go cruising around the Mediterranean. Dude, It was such a good price, and it was on a brand new ship. The MSC World Europa looks absolutely fantastic. The kids are going to have a ball. And I was like, we don't have to go book 2 hotel rooms and hop around and pack and unpack like we did last year. Like, yeah, we're just going to get on that cruise, unpack once, and let them take us around. So we go to France, 3 places in Italy, including Sicily, which I'm most excited about, and then Malta, which I've never been to. So we're going to get 2 new countries, Spain and Malta, on this trip and check it off. So we're excited, man. And then I pulled a heck of a wing dinger a few nights ago with you and Hallie on the text. Yeah, heck of a wing dinger to get us back all on the perfect one-stop itinerary in business class on American Airlines when Sea Space opened up for 2 of us, and then very reasonably priced award tickets in business class for the other 2. So, and then to cap it off now, like, this is how you like really piece it together. So the whole deal was the cruise gets back in the port on Friday in Barcelona at like 7 a.m. Mm-hmm. By this time in the trip, I just know Mrs. Kerr always wants to go home. She doesn't want to unpack and repack again. She doesn't want to stay an extra night. She doesn't care. We've done Barcelona before the cruise. She wants to go home. Because I don't want to risk it and book like an early morning flight with the cruise coming in. There are only very few options out of Barcelona leaving like around noon or later to get back to the East Coast the same day. American was one of them. Always ridiculously priced, both in cash and points or miles. So a very long story short again, Sea Space open. Remember, buying round trip airfare across the Atlantic is always going to be cheaper than one way pretty much for economy. So I booked round trip originating in Barcelona. searched a whole bunch of different European cities, and Copenhagen ended up like, and just throwing a date 6 months in the future. It's like $550 round trip for economy. Seaspace opened up, confirmed those upgrades.
Nice.
And then, yeah, man, we're going Barcelona, Philadelphia, Atlanta in one hop, like the day of the cruise. So wake up on a cruise ship in the water, port in Barcelona, straight to the airport, Philadelphia, Atlanta, business class. And I think it's like $1,200 all in taxes and fees, plus the 2 round trip tickets at Seaspace, which is a system-wide upgrade space, if you're wondering what that is, that I had that are actually about to expire. So great use of these 2 system-wide upgrades. We're all in business class back, man. So really knowing all the tricks, ladies and gentlemen, the mismatched itinerary, originating, not trying to book a one-way cash fare to put the Seaspace, checking the Seaspace, all that stuff is why we do it. So it all lines up. So we're really excited about it. And I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about when we get back.
I'm trying to look on the ship. Which port in Sicily? Are you going to Messina or are you going to Catania?
Palermo, I think, off the top of my head, Palermo.
Oh, okay.
It's like
that's
the north side. I think last
it
time.
Is. Yeah, that's actually where my great-grandmother immigrated from as a divorcee back in 1904.
So you're saying that I should go find some Pizzarello avenues in Palermo is what we're going to go check out.
Well, she wasn't a Pizzarella then. She was a divorcee. She didn't become Pizzarella until she got to the mainland. So
last time I went to Sicily, we ported in Messina, which is over on the east side.
That's where she was from. She took whatever method of transportation one does in 1904 from Messina to Palermo, and took the boat from Palermo.
Yeah, I thought Messina was awesome. We hired a driver that took us to Taormina, which is an amazing place to check out.
Taormina is one of my favorite places in the world. I thought you were going to Taormina, so I was going to recommend my favorite granita place there. But
well, anybody who's listening to this when I'm already there, please shoot me a DM where I don't have Wi-Fi about where to go in Palermo.
Perfect.
There you go. Lock it down.
I will say in Barcelona, definitely Sagrada Familia, incredible. If you're looking for a little caffeine, I know you're not a big caffeine guy, and a decent pastry and some incredible people watching. At the top of Las Ramblas, there's a coffee shop called Cafe Zurich. A little bit touristy, but you could just sit outside and watch the people crush Las Ramblas throughout the day. And pretty cool people watching place.
It's been a while since I felt like this. Every single thing that I've read about Barcelona, the first thing that everybody says from a tourist perspective is what? What do you think it is that's on the top of every webpage response to where I've asked for recommendations? What do you think people say?
Well, I mean, it'd be too obvious for it to be Sagrada Familia. So
no, not really where to go, but just the first comment that people have about the city.
People watching.
Pickpockets, man. That's what everybody is talking about. Yeah. Everybody is talking about it more to the point where, like, I mean, dude, I roll around New York City all the time. Like, just get you stuff everywhere and everywhere else I've been in the world, but it's never really bothered me. But the amount of times that people have just brought this up every single time, I'm like, do I need to duct tape my like shorts closed? And like, what is like, or is this just like the standard, like everybody's read it and everybody says it? So I'm super curious to see, what the situation actually is there. Knock on wood, it's not a problem. But man, it's like the first thing everybody said to me when I said I'm going to Barcelona.
Never had my pocket picked, but I also never am stupid enough to put my wallet in my back pocket. I wear tight pockets in the front. When I travel, I try to wear some sort of pants that have a zipped pocket, and that's where my money and my IDs go. Like, just don't be stupid.
Yeah, but very much looking forward to it. It looks like an awesome city, so I can't wait to check it out.
Nice. Well, we are eager to hear all about it, especially the ports of call, because I haven't been to Palermo yet. Still on the list. So definitely interested in hearing about the trip when you get back. Since we are recording a bit ahead of time, we thought we'd do something a little bit more evergreen. And I got the idea a little bit from a listener comment that came in. And the comment was along the lines from Josh, who's been a long-time listener, loves the show, loves your Frontier Tales. But the comment that he made was, hey, look, I know you guys love Hyatt. We do. And so we end up, talking more about Hyatt than we do about other hotel chains. So we're thinking about some evergreen content that we could include that would age well while Mr. Kerr is paddling his way across the Mediterranean. Figure we could dive a little bit into the Hilton program. And as two guys who are Hyatt fans, I'm sure we're going to look at this through a bit of the Hyatt lens, if you will, from a comparison standpoint in terms of where we do see value and where we don't, but hopefully a good, honest assessment of the Hilton program. So I think, normally I wouldn't start with credit cards, but I think credit cards are such a fundamental part of the Hilton program. And I think at one point you had the Aspire card for Diamond status, right? But you don't anymore.
Yeah, I did have it. I just wasn't getting enough stays out of it in order to justify it. And now the annual fee's gone up again. So it's kind of like if I, regularly stayed at Hilton or had opportunities to regular stay at Hilton, then I would definitely have the card, but I do not.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say, and we'll dig into more of the program itself, but I think it's safe to say that you really can't maximize Hilton program if you don't carry one of their credit cards. They have 3 different cards. One is a no annual fee card. The middle of the road card is the Surpass card. And then the top of the line card, as you mentioned, is the Aspire card. It's an expensive card at $650 a year now. And so you really need to know that you're going to get a handful of stays with Diamond status. When I was breaking down the cards, I think the thing that I didn't remember or I never knew was that if you have the Surpass card, which is a $150 annual fee card, and you spend $40,000 on that card, you get Diamond status. And so I do think there's a little bit of a comparison here of like, if you are like, if you're leaning into Hilton, and I'll share my reasons why you might want to lean into Hilton. If you're leaning into Hilton, spending $40,000 on the card to get Diamond status versus an extra $500 a year in annual fee, I could see that being a very logical path for someone.
We also get, there's other big benefits with the Aspire card, right? The Hilton Resort credit, if you use it, it's still $200. Is that right?
Did they split that up into two different $100 credits? Yeah.
Let's just get the facts here.
Let me see if I can pull it up, because I don't remember what they did to that $200 credit.
Yeah, because there was a whole bunch of changes when it went up. My overall thought about the card portfolio is, if you do lean into Hilton, you have to have the card because you earn so many points with the card.
Oh my gosh.
Especially on stays. It's like, Hilton does cost a lot of points per night when you start to look at it, but the avenues to get like 30x per dollar or something ridiculous spent at Hilton hotels, as well as the bonus categories. And I don't think it's not 1x on everything, right? The base value prop, is it 2 or 3x on everything?
It's 3x is the base value prop, which is still worse than others. But I just pulled up the credit. It's actually a $400 credit split up into two $200 credits.
So, I absolutely get why people would carry the card. And I think they added some other coupons as well. Benefits to that card. So, I get it. And even if I was going to stay 5 or 6 times at a Hilton a year, probably worth it for all the benefits. I will say the biggest benefit when I think about Diamond is what they've done with the Hilton Diamond and Gold breakfast now, which is pretty much limited to credits, which is not going to cover the cost of breakfast. Even I think my last Hilton stay was at a DoubleTree in Atlanta for a family thing that, I just like breakfast. It wouldn't even cover the breakfast buffet, but it's supposed to be a property credit as well. So I said, hey, let's skip breakfast. And I came back to burn the credits at the little boutique at the front desk. And they're like, oh no, these credits are only good at the restaurant, but that's not what the terms say. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. I'm just not going to worry about it. So they got to clean that up a little bit. I don't think they're going to at all. And certainly those credits, once you get to luxury properties, aren't going to do much but get you a glass of orange juice and a coffee. So again, when I thought about Diamond, and I think that I'm thinking about remembering now the increased annual fee plus the cut in the breakfast benefit, I was like, I just don't stay here enough. But I get why people carry the card. I think it's a lot of benefits for that price point.
Yeah, I think you probably need 3 or 4 stays as a Diamond where you're getting some value. I don't mean like the random Hampton Inn in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but someplace where you can get some value out of the card to make it worth your while. The card itself, if you are in the Aspire cards, 14 points per dollar on Hilton stays, and that's separate from the points that you earn for status and promos and all the other stuff. They did tweak the next category down, and I like it's both goods and bad. So it's now 7x on flights booked through Amex Travel, which is new, and then car rentals, which you can book directly, as well as restaurants. The downside I see here is this category on the other cards also included supermarkets and gas stations. So I think if you're not a road warrior, supermarkets and gas stations are just like a great way to really pile up the points. And so that's a little bit of a weak spot now in this card, is that from an everyday spending standpoint, if you're not spending on traveling, the only thing you're going to earn good everyday spend on is restaurants, because of 3 points per dollar and everything else. Just using the Amex Gold card as an example, that's what 4x on dining and groceries, and then you can transfer 1-to-1 to Hilton. So you get better value out of transferring points from American Express membership rewards to Hilton than you would spending on the Aspire card.
Yeah, looking at the other benefits, it is a $200 airline credit, just like Amex says. Pick your airline, and again, pretty particular about what counts there. $100 Hilton on property credit.
But it goes even deeper than that in terms of the credit.
Oh, wait, it's 50 each quarter.
50 each quarter.
Okay, I'm out. I don't care at all.
So you get 2/3 of a check bag fee once a quarter.
Out on that. If you book a 2-night stay at Waldorf or Conrad through HiltonHonors.com/Aspire card, or over the phone, or quote booking code ZZAAP1, you get a credit of $100 for the incidentals during your stay. Clear Plus membership. Look, everywhere I go now, the Clear line is longer than pre-check. I just don't get it. Rental car status with national executive status, which is actually fantastic. You should have that status.
Yeah.
And cell phone protection. So if you can keep track of all this, I get it. Hilton, Diamond, and all that kind of stuff. So if you stay at Hilton, I think you should have this card.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the other benefits of the Hilton Honors program and the things that you want to try and leverage. And there's a couple of things here. One is fifth night free. And I mean, I think this is a really big deal, especially when you talk about, like Richard said, how many points it can be for some of the premium properties. And we're going to discuss some of that in a second, how much the premium properties can cost. But fifth night free on awards days is big. And then Hilton is also along the same lines as Hyatt. They waive resort fees on award bookings, which
clutch necessary, bare minimum.
Yeah, because the reality is that most of the properties you're going to want to use your Hilton points at are going to have resort fees. Yep. And $30-$40 a night times a 5-night stay, that's $200. I mean, it's real dough.
Plus tax.
Yeah. Yep. And so like when you talk about the breakfast benefit being diluted, which it has been, waiving resort fees is sort of like the balance there in terms of adding value. Hilton is real big into promotions. So I tagged what the current promotion is. It's 2,000 points per stay. I would actually say this is probably one of the weaker promotions that they've had more recently. They usually have really good promos. This one isn't bad, but it is a little bit weaker. It's 2,000 points per stay. So if you're a road warrior with 1 or 2 night stays, this is certainly a good value. And then 500 points for using digital key. A lot of times they'll have double point and triple point offers. So, I would imagine, this is probably the weakest promo we're going to see this year. So you could definitely pick up when you talk about status bonuses for earning points, the bonus points for having a credit card, and then any promos. To Richard's point, you can get up to 25 to 30 points per dollar on your spend. And that's really where the program rubber hits the road.
Yeah, when they have the one-click registration emails, which programs when you do this, I love it so much. It'll make me log in. For the triple points, even though I'm pretty sure I don't have any Hilton stays coming up, you never know. And I've always, routinely found myself needing one night on the road somewhere, and glad I hit that triple points promo. I did want to go, 2 things I had forgotten about the Hilton program is that breakfast benefits are different outside the U.S. than inside the U.S. So complimentary continental breakfast, because I have seen all the stories about the upcharges for hot stuff, but Hilton Gold and Diamond members can enjoy complimentary continental breakfast as a My Way benefit for stays at the following brands outside the U.S. Waldorf, LXR, Conrad, Canopy, Curio, Hilton, Hilton Garden Inn. You have to select that online rather than the 750 points for your My Way benefit. Doubletree, Signia, and Tapestry. And then if you want some hot eggs or something, they're going to get you. But, and then inside the U.S., you do get the daily credit. There's still, there's a lot of brands here that, do you know what Project H3 by Hilton is?
That's a new one for me.
Spark by Hilton? I don't know what that is.
Spark by Hilton. I actually looked, where was I looking that I saw Spark by Hilton? Oh, I was looking for spring break reservations, and there was a Spark somewhere in northern Florida, like Jacksonville or Amelia Island or something. So yeah, it looks very much like all the other limited service brands that Hilton has.
Yeah, so these are like the free breakfast brands at Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Home 2 Suites, Embassy Suites, Project H3 by Hilton, Spark by Hilton, True by Hilton. And then, like going back and forth between, it's a lot to keep up with. I mean, still, even as a stayed 50-night Marriott Platinum member, I have to go and I have the guide to Marriott Breakfast bookmarked on my browser. So I can go and read all right, what the heck am I supposed to be getting here? So I understand it now, having been on the business side and had conversations with our partners about why this has to happen because of ownership and operators at hotels and everything you got to go into reimbursing for them that and trying to keep costs down. Like, it is so overwhelmingly complicated that I understand why, but I would encourage programs to simplify where possible.
Yeah, and if you think about the various breakdowns of points, I mean, you're talking, you get 10 points per dollar on spend at most of these chains. There are a few of the limited service brands, Home 2 Suites, True. I don't know about Spark and some of the other newer ones that only earn 5 points per dollar. But, like when you start adding it up, silver members get a 20% bonus. I forget what gold gets. I have it on our cheat sheet here is 80%. 80% bonus if you're gold, and then 100% bonus if you're diamond. So you're getting 20 points per dollar as a diamond member. The other thing I think is really interesting with diamond is once you hit your, I think it's 60 nights. Anyway, once you're diamond, they have milestone bonuses afterwards, which typically are just points based, whereas Hyatt offers other things. But it's another opportunity to just pile on points where you can get 10 or 20,000 points for each milestone that you hit past a certain point. And since Hilton will let you credit more than one room to your account on a nightly basis, you can really rack this up pretty quickly.
So let's say there's a triple points promo. So that's for, 30 points per dollar. And then you have a diamond. So that wouldn't be 60 points per dollar. I'm pretty sure it's just
40. It'd be 40.
40.
Yeah, it'd be 40.
And then you have the Aspire card that's 14. So now you're at 54 points per dollar, right? So
yeah.
I mean, like that's how you get the points so fast. And I've had several stays back before I was really pounding the Hyatt pavement. But I remember like I would get the folio or the account the activity would post to my account for like a random 3-night business day. And it's like, here's 87,000 points. And you're like, what? Like, that's awesome. Like, I thought I was charging the wrong price. And I'm like, go back to the folio. And I'm like, how much did I pay? And it's like, oh no, like, hold on, I forgot about the triple point promo and all that. So that's what I always remind myself when I look at the prices, which I think we're going to talk about a few examples of the luxury properties or the properties you really want to stay at and redeem your points. And you're like, how many points? But then you have to kind of recalibrate the brain and be like, okay, well, I can earn 54 points per dollar, and this is actually doing the rebate on the stay. This is a pretty good deal right here.
Yeah, I think like table stakes is just my personal opinion. We use Hilton points a lot for when my daughter has track meets and stuff like that because there's always a Hampton Inn or a Home 2 Suites or something wherever there's a random track somewhere in the state of Virginia that she's running. Table stakes it's going to cost you 50,000 points a night for a room. Yes, you're going to find 40,000 points a night. You're going to find 38,000 points a night. Like you're going to find edge cases, but just close your eyes and just understand that like the cheapest you're going to consistently find rooms at is in like the 40 to 50,000 point per night range. I did pull some numbers. So I pulled a couple of our properties down at one of our favorite places, Disney World, and the Signia, which I still don't know what the heck that is. I know the property because I've stayed there, but I still don't know the brand. Signia at Bonnet Creek and the Waldorf are two properties on Disney property. And I would say typically you'll see those properties for like the 90 to 100,000 point a night range. But I did pull a couple of what I would call edge holidays. Like I didn't pull Thanksgiving. I didn't pull Christmas. I pulled spring break season, like late March. The Signia was 132,000 points a night. The Waldorf was 242,000 points a night. And just for clarity, like I looked at it and I went 242. Oh my gosh. And it was premium room rewards. I'm like, oh, it must be for a suite. So I clicked on it and it was a 2-queen bed high floor room for 242,000 points a night.
I think it's both a blessing and a curse the way it is. So if you're not very familiar with it, you can pretty much find an award stay anytime there's a room available at Hilton. Which, hey, if you got to have a room, it's great. That's a wonderful benefit. And you can do the mix of miles and money or points and money, and you can do the little slider thing and say how many points I want to pay versus cash, and just really subsidize your room. But it also gives a freedom for a hotel to call any room a premium room, and you're kind of like very few base rooms. And you're like, oh, the world. I've stayed at both of those properties. We did New Year's Eve at the Signia, like right after it had been rebranded. I think it was a rebrand. Right. And I did the Waldorf, which they've now renovated. I did pre-renovation. And it was a little old, but it was still a Waldorf, a wonderful spa there. That strikes me still as a lot of points, especially for the Signia. I would find it difficult to pay 132,000 points a night for that property after having stayed there. But again, if you can use points to subsidize it, and then there's a few other little small perks like this when I'm thinking about a family trip to the Signia Bonnet Creek, connecting rooms. You can guarantee it on the Hilton website and search for that way. That's a unique benefit. Love it.
Yeah, they do a great job with technology.
I guess I feel very much a mixed bag here. I still have like 400,000 Hilton points that I always keep around just for, you never know.
You never know when you're going to need a 2-night stay.
Yeah. Which also is like the 5th night free is great. But again, until New York, where we were there for 2 weeks, my family has not stayed 5 consecutive nights in a hotel. I don't think. Since we've been a family. So, I can't think of a destination where it makes sense to stay that long, except maybe like one of these properties down there at Disney World. So I just find myself torn. Like when people are like, I love Hilton, I get it. Like, makes a lot of sense for all of these different reasons. When I look at, I think you got another couple luxury properties that you pulled up to look at there. Like it's just a lot of points still, even though you can earn a ton.
Yeah, I checked out Paris and Tokyo just to get a good glimpse. Like 40 to 50,000 points for airport properties in Paris and Tokyo. And as you well know, the airports in Paris and Tokyo are very, very far away. Like the Narita Hilton was really cheap, but it's a solid 75, 80 minutes to downtown Tokyo.
I spent a lot of nights at the Hilton Tokyo Narita.
Did you really?
Oh man, because it's so far away. We lived just on the other side of Tokyo, but it was a haul to get to Narita. So if you had an early morning flight, we would just go the night before. And I recall that property actually being excellent value. I actually have some really cool pictures when Thomas was born before his first flight. That's the first time he ever swam. We got a little picture of like 10-week-old baby Thomas in the pool at the Hilton Tokyo Narita. Was the first time. So I that's where, again, I haven't looked at that property in a long time, but man, we used to have that place down. But I remember getting lots of value out of those kinds of properties. The same at Hilton Tokyo Bay, actually, which is like a semi-on property Tokyo Disney.
Yeah.
Stayed there all the time before. So again, I think there's a lot of value to be had here. And if you do go all in with a credit card, you can rack up the points a lot because you're going to need them. Like I think is.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Because like when I went to the downtown properties in both Paris and Tokyo, what I typically found was, low season was 80,000 points, high season was 100,000 points or more. And I mean, that's not horrible, all things considered, but it'll burn down your point balance pretty quickly. Fifth night free, you redeem, call it, 350 to 400,000 points to get 5 nights free. And that's still called an average of 75,000 points a night. And this is where I like take off the All About Hilton hat for a second and put on the Hyatt hat and say, a very small group of Hyatt properties are going to cost you 40,000 points a night. The next tier down of luxury properties are going to cost you 30. And then there's a whole slew of properties in the 20 or 25,000 point range. So the way to play the Hilton program is absolutely to leverage paid stays and maxing out the credit cards for those stays. If you're just going to spend on the credit cards and the other categories, it gets tough because on a lot of these other cards, you're going to get 3, 4, 5x of a different currency that you can transfer to a place like Hyatt where the room is going to be 70 or 80% cheaper in the total number of points that you need. Whereas if you're earning that and say like, on like an Amex Green card or an Amex Gold card and transferring 1-to-1, that's a lot of spend.
Yeah, it is. I think maybe what you and I are guilty of, and I know I am, even just when planning this European trip, is looking at the program first before the property. Like if there's a property you absolutely want to go and stay at, a unique property, I just pulled up Tokyo here. By the way, Hilton Tokyo Narita Airport, 25,000 points per night. Yeah, still tons of value there. So if you need to go to Narita early, go stay there. But say you want to stay at a Tokyo Disney hotel and the Hilton Tokyo Bay right there, essentially on the property, it's 70,000 points per night. Very doable. Like if you go all in, get a card, put all the spend on it, and you got 3-4 nights at Tokyo Disney. Like you can make that happen. That's obtainable. So I think I should go and look at property more. Like there's not a Hyatt on property at Tokyo Disney or wherever, right? And some of these, like even in Barcelona, I branched out to a lot of different programs because I knew I had to look or book two rooms for families. I think we just need to go property first more often than I'm going program first. I think, and what looking at this Hilton talking about it today is kind of made me realize something I need to maybe focus on a little bit more instead of just the program.
Yeah, I think I have a slightly more nuanced view of it than you do. I don't necessarily know that I'm property first. I think Hilton, I've said this in a number of different ways. I've said it in my like annual reviews on my blog. I've said it a few times here on my podcast. Hilton has really slid into my second spot, if you will, from a hotel chain standpoint. I have a few thousand Marriott points right now, and I'm not really doing anything to actively earn them. I'll have a paid stay or two here throughout the course of the year, but it doesn't make sense to transfer Ultimate Rewards points to Marriott just based on the price of the rooms. Comparison wise, we talk about the Swan and Dolphin, which are popular properties for you and I, and those properties have edged up into like the 80,000+ point a night range for non off peak dates, not even peak dates, but just like standard dates. So like when I think about that and I think about what you're earning with Marriott, which I think we'll discuss in another evergreen episode, certainly a lot more opportunity to bulk up the points balance with Hilton than with Marriott, which is why I've been sort of focusing a bit more there because I could stay at Resorts World in Vegas and come home with another 100 or 150,000 Hilton points from that stay because they're it's a Conrad and a Hilton and a Crockford. So I think like when I think about it, I don't disagree with what you said per se, but for me, I think where I see Hilton folding in is that I maximize the points when I stay at a Hilton property. I don't really, do any other spending out. Like I'm not transferring. I don't plan to transfer membership rewards into Hilton in any sort of large quantity. I wouldn't have a problem topping up if I needed it for a specific stay. But typically I look at Hilton as I'm going to get good value for the track meet stays. When our daughter goes to college, I'm sure there's going to be Hilton properties around there that we'll stay when we go to visit her for the weekend, stuff like that. And those are going to be a really good value for us because I earned a boatload of points when I stayed at had a paid Hilton stay at a property because I do have the Aspire card right now.
And you've basically been living at Resorts World when you on all your biggest trips. Like
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to your point, wherever the track meet or the college is, there's going to be a Hilton there. Like there's not going to be
6 of them.
Not guaranteed to be a Hyatt place. So, I mean,
Right.
It makes sense. So I appreciated the gentleman's email that he wrote in and said, take a look at the other programs. I honestly just haven't gone to a destination where I've had a need for a Hilton property recently. And then just some of those luxury stays, man, the number of points that are out there now. I think even in the Slack community a few weeks ago, somebody was like, hey, wide open availability at the Conrad Maldives. And like, I went and took a look at how many points it was per night. And I was like, man, I just can't even. There's like any Maldives property, right on top of the points, you have lunch and dinner, and you have the $750 per person seaplane transfer. Ladies and gentlemen, the Maldives is overrated, not worth it, but that's a story for a different day. So, like great, way better than paying the hotel room, but there's just, specific instances where I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think what Josh's email helped open up to it, and I was actually talking with our friend Auburn too, and she was talking about different podcasts and information versus commentary and all that stuff. And I think I think what we do on a weekly basis here is we show you the world of travel through our eyes. And I don't think we talk a lot about these other hotel programs because they don't fit our needs specifically, but they do fit needs. And so I think that's what was helpful. I hope that's what people find helpful about today's show. And I think we'll do the same with Marriott and IHG, not to spoil the fun that's coming, but I think we'll see less value out of those programs overall. Well, maybe that's not the right way to say it. I think there'll be less people that can get great value out of those programs, if you will. I think it's easier to get outsized value out of Hilton when you pair up a credit card. I think it's a little bit less so with Marriott and IHG. But I think, I definitely think there are people that can get plenty of value out of a Hilton program. I think as we said, bottom line is it revolves around the credit card and, maximizing every paid stay that you have.
And if you're a diehard Hilton fan, look, I get it. It makes sense. Get a lot of points, amazing luxury properties, but also functional properties wherever you find yourself in the world. So have at it and enjoy. I will say one other thing that I think drives me away from Hilton is the inability for suite upgrades or guaranteed suite certificates for those times that you would really like to have that extra space. But again, I'm looking at it from the business side and what that program would entail to get through all the 8 different committees that a Hilton probably has stood up between owners and everything to get it's just too hard to get that reimbursement model right.
For what it's worth, I think, when you talk about you and I with younger kids, at least from my standpoint, I think for you to some degree, I actually like being able to confirm connecting rooms ahead of time, which they're not perfect on yet. I've had a couple of instances where I got the confirmation and the property didn't honor it. But I would say by and large, 90% of the time that works. For me, sure, it'd always be great to have a suite. It's a plus. But if you confirm connecting rooms for me, I'm usually just fine. That's we want the space, we want the extra bathroom, we don't want to be living on top of each other. And I find being able to confirm that ahead of time is the next best thing to Hyatt's guarantee on suites.
So you're saying you'd rather pay for 2 rooms than 1? Got it. Okay.
No, I just said, can't you hear me? Wait, is your microphone? Maybe the next best thing.
I'm just saying what you said. It's Ed likes to pay for 2 rooms instead of 1. I don't.
Somebody define for Richard what next best thing means. Like a great example, like you are the next best thing to me. I mean, that's really.
Oh, that's the nicest thing anybody said to me on this Monday here we're recording on.
All right. Well, if you want to win a free annual subscription to Point Me, find the Easter egg somewhere in the background. Wish Mr. Kerr a very fun time on the voyage. I'll look forward to hearing from you every day from the Mediterranean. Checking in with us, please.
I hope the internet's broken and you don't hear from
me. Send pictures of you at various beaches, bundled up in the cold.
I think it's supposed to be like 65. I won't be bundled. It'll be warm enough.
Oh, you'll be fine. Yeah, your wife will be bundled up in like a Eskimo jacket, probably, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, while you're gone, I have Disney World. I have the 49th state on the list, South Dakota, and then just as you're coming back into town, I'll be heading to Vegas for some work. So definitely got some travel gear got for myself. It's really weird to look at my United app and see a grand total of 1 flight segment so far this year, as we're in the 2nd month of the year.
Ooh, I also have 1 flight segment as a 1K. Yep.
All right, Mr. Kerr, have a great time overseas. Can't wait to hear all about every one of your ports of call. I hope people find the Hilton episode helpful. We'll dive into Marriott, IHG, maybe even a little taste of Wyndham as we head on down the road. Until we upload again, we've got miles to go.